And we're live. Welcome back to the Disruptors live stream brought to you by Disrupticity. You may notice that there are only two windows today. My partner and co-host Abby is actually on vacation in Europe, so we are rolling solo today with our special guest, Rhino Julie. Thanks for being on today.
So happy to be here. Let's go.
So I'm really excited. I did a little bit of reading on you, but for all the people out there, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and what a day in the life is like?
Sure. So 18 years ago, I started like a boot camp for civilians. This was before you had group exercise programs, basically. And it was when I was super broke. I was overweight. I had a little print advertising business and I was just suffering in every way. And I was like, I want to join the military so that I can, lose weight and have a drill instructor tell me what to do because I don't like exercising. And that's not a good reason to join the military. So I ended up like starting a boot camp for civilians. And that was before boot camps. And so fast forward 18 years later, I have health and fitness gyms called Camp Rhino. Everything is Rhino. And then I have a Ninja Warrior gym because I get bored and I like to have fun with my fitness. And right now, as we speak, I am no longer in the operations of those gyms because they're my brothers and my cousin. They're letting me fly off and run my new business that is with my partner, Rhino Julie. So we're Rhino Julie and Rhino Julie.
Oh, wow. That's a fortuitous situation. So a lot of people out there, I mean, I'm gathering that probably everyone who listens to this has been a member of a gym at one point or another. What is it like as an entrepreneur to own a gym, especially when there's these gigantic franchises and there's like the CrossFit community and people don't really know where they belong? It can be intimidating. First of all, what is it like to own a gym? And then secondly, what's different about you guys?
Oh man. So owning a gym is beautiful and awful at the same time, maybe like owning any business, but here's my real opinion on this. So if you're like a Lifetime Fitness or an Anytime Fitness or a 24-hour fitness, it's fine to have a bunch of, franchises all over and to scale that business, right? But with our gyms, we're boutique. So I have three, but the problem that we were running into is if I wanted to like license across the world, and I actually went to do this, and we have a license in Boise, one, because what happened was I worried about her business like it was my own. And she needed to take ownership. And there's not really room in a boutique gym for there to be someone else taking a cut. So my opinion on boutique gyms is really they need to have an owner that knows everyone's name and it's their life and they love being there every single day. Like that's my opinion. And luckily I have my brothers and my brother from another mother, as I say, that love the operations and the day to day. And it's absolutely beautiful and amazing. And we do have CrossFit. CrossFit stole my soul about in 2012. I thought I was going to go to the games. And so we do have CrossFit in our gyms and we have boot camp and then we have the obstacles and Ninja Warrior. So.
And where are all your gyms located?
In Las Vegas.
Very cool.
And then one in Boise, Idaho.
And where do you live?
I live in Las Vegas.
Cool. I've spent a lot of time in Boise, not so much in Las Vegas, but that's a big ninja community, right? When did the ninja gym come around?
So I've always had an obstacle course. I saw the Japanese Ninja Warrior years and years and years ago before it was in America. I got super excited about it and started with I actually started with buckets from Home Depot filled with water and fence posts, but I tried to build my first obstacle course to take out to the parks like right away. So we've always had obstacles and I used to have them in my backyard and we were doing outdoor boot camps. So I didn't really have facilities. And then I kept getting in trouble, even though technically it's legal to have a 14-foot tall freestanding structure in your backyard. We just kept having the government knock on our door and say, why do you have all these obstacles in your backyard? So I just threw down all the money I had in the world on first and last month's rent and a facility saying, this is going to be the ultimate training facility. We're going to have an obstacle course and we're going to have ninjas and Spartan races. And it's just going to be incredible. And it was incredible until the first Spartan race ended and then everyone quit their memberships. And I was like, oh crap, I need to have something else in here besides just obstacles because it was for adults. And So long story short, that's when we added CrossFit because I'm like, what works inside CrossFit? Let's try that. And then I hated CrossFit at first, and then it stole my soul. And that's the long and the short of it. So we've always had obstacles. It's kind of our unique thing. We were the first facility with obstacles in it where you could do it for fitness and it wasn't just for kids. And now it's mostly like we have hundreds of kids and we have 20 adults. So it switched.
Interesting. So is your format mostly class-based, or do people just come and free workout?
No, it's community based, which means you're either in a group or you're with your trainer. And
Cool.
and so we don't have, it's called open gym. We
Right.
might have an hour once a week with open gym. And our members, honestly, our members can do whatever they want. But when someone comes in and says, we just want to work out on our own, we're like, hey, there's a lot better places to do that. And so people usually start in the groups or with a trainer. And then if they want to work out on their own, they can. And that way everyone knows each other. There's no one just, by themselves in a corner, just, looking at people being all weird.
So do you often get people that are there for their ongoing maintenance and fitness, or are they training for some kind of event like a Spartan race?
So both. So we have a huge CrossFit community now. We have Underdogs Athletics is with us. So we have a lot of CrossFit people who are in the games. We have a lot of Ninja Warriors who actually compete in Ninja Warrior. We have a lot of Spartan racers, and we also have a lot of people who do the weekend events, such as like High Rocks and also the local CrossFit competitions. But I would say that our competition membership is probably 10 or 20%. And then I would say, 80 to 90% are just there to get their workout in a nice environment where, everyone is nice and then go home.
Do you personally like to compete in any of those franchise things?
I did. I've done just about all of it. So I used to be super into the obstacle course racing, and then back in the day, we used to run our own events because you didn't have the CrossFit games and you didn't have Spartan races and Tough Mudders. So we started with, like, it was called the Iron Mountain, and we had kayaks, and you jumped off a cliff and you kayaked over to a mountain and you ran up the mountain and came back down. So we used to put on crazy events like that. Another one where you had teams with stretchers and a person on it, and you'd go back and forth across the river on a route. Whoever was back first won. So that was before. And then when other people started putting on events that were awesome, I'm like, I don't need to put on events anymore. So we just do other people's events. But I've done it all, the 24-hour rucks. But now I like to play the game of business because I just, you just get older and you just hurt more. And it's cool because there's age groups that you can compete in. But I've really just changed completely. I used to be all about the fitness and competing, and now I'm all about business.
I wish there were more of those long form relay style races. I'm from Seattle, and there's a big one up there called Ski to Sea, and there's one called Mountain to Sound. And they have like cross country skiing and running and cycling and mountain biking and sea kayak. And you cover so much ground, it's hard to even follow each other when you have your team. But I miss stuff like that. When I was a kid, my dad used to go and do this really cool relay from Jasper to Banff in British Columbia. And it's a 24-hour race where they'd have like 12 guys, I think, and they'd each run aggregate 20 miles or something. But they'd have motor homes and they would do the whole thing. I wish more stuff like that existed.
So we have Ragnar. So I've done
Well,
a
that's
Ragnar.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Where you're in a van with a group of people or a bus or whatever you want. Yeah. Yeah.
So has the CrossFit Games, I always find kind of interesting because I always get hooked watching it when it's on TV, but it's always a rerun from like 4 years ago. I feel like I never see what's currently happening. And like the documentaries on Netflix have gotten pretty popular where they have
Mhm.
specific gyms and you follow their journey to the games. Of all of the things, I know that Ninja is kind of gigantic right now in the
Yeah.
cultural zeitgeist, but do you think CrossFit is the largest of these communities? Does it make up the biggest core of your people?
No, we're split. We are very, very split. Ninja CrossFit boot camp, very split. Like we have slightly more boot camp and CrossFit people, but though it's even, it's very even. So, and then the boot camp community, They're really cool. Like, so the big difference between our boot camp and CrossFit is in CrossFit, you're putting in your scores and you're tracking your lifts and you always lift every single day and you go heavy, you go hard. And in boot camp, you go heavy and you go hard too, but there's not so much pressure. You're not like inputting your scores. Like yesterday, we sledgehammered tires and did yoke carries and did a max height box jump. Like it's always very, very different. And CrossFit is more structured. And so I
Right.
dip out like whenever I'm going hard in business and the mental bandwidth is not there to want to care about my fitness, I go back to boot camp and just leave CrossFit for a little bit.
Right. So, why don't you tell us about your new business and kind of what are you hoping the next few years are like?
Yeah. So I realized I'm in all these entrepreneur groups. So I'm in entrepreneur organization, EO, and everyone was always asking me about health and fitness. And that's really cool. But I built the gyms so that I would have a place to get my health and fitness in. But it sounds really strange, but health and fitness has never been my passion. It's been like a necessary thing that I have to get done. And if I'm going to do it, I want to do it in a fun way. And there was nothing out there 18 years ago like that I wanted. So I built what I needed. But in these groups, I realized that I loved hearing about other people's business, about their problems in business. I love automation. I love learning about different software programs. I love helping people fix their business problems. And in the gyms, I just realized that business, it is scalable. You can absolutely scale gyms, but I don't want to scale gyms. I believe in boutique gyms being mom and pop Italian restaurants where there's a line out the door, but there's always a table for the regulars. That's how I want my gyms to be. So we're just going to stay right where we are. 3 gyms, that's going to be it forever. And the operations in my gyms are set. And I was on a plane with another girl from Entrepreneur Organization, and I was telling her how I solved a customer service issue I was having with a mixture of automation and virtual assistants. She's like, oh, I need that in my insurance agency. And she has 3 insurance agencies. So I'm like, sure, I'll help you plug it in. So I helped her plug it in. She's like, Julie, this needs to be a business. Like, I don't know if you've ever like heard of Tony Robbins, but in his business mastery course, he talks about how you have a business that's in its prime, but the industry can be like not in its prime. It can be more in a decline, or maybe there's
Right.
not. And so my gyms are prime. They're at the top. They're awesome, like in their little area. But like the whole industry, it's not dying. It's just changing. There's Peloton. There's other things, right? And automation and virtual assistants, there are all of these businesses, these especially baby boomer businesses, like they need this help. And it's a baby, like it's at the beginning stages, like this industry. And I'm just excited to be in a brand new industry and a brand new business. And so all of a sudden business became really simple for me. It's like, oh, people have problems. Let's solve them. And if we save them money and make them more money, they're going to pay us for it. And our business is so incredibly scalable and so fun. And as you can tell, I'm having a blast.
So, you mentioned wanting to stay the same size, and you mentioned that you have 2 in Las Vegas and 1 in Idaho.
3 in Las Vegas.
Does
And
3 in
the
Las
Idaho,
Vegas?
yeah, that's a separate owner. It's a license.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
is it cool to have a licensee? Does that one feel out of reach to you? Do you go there often?
No, no. So she is 100% her own. It is like everything she's done there is her. So what happened was she had to move to Boise, and she was a Rhino. We call everyone Rhinos. And she's like, I'm moving to Boise, but I'm not moving without taking this with me. So I figured out how to license it. And then really everything she's done has really been on her own. It is 100% hers. We don't really have any ties, except I'm super proud of her culture and how she's upheld the name, but we don't really have any ties besides that. Like all her success is 100% hers, really.
But naturally, that leads to the question of would you ever franchise or license?
You can't say never. You can't say
Right.
never, but my gut answer is no, because there's not room for that cut to be taken, in my opinion. And isn't it fun to have freedom and to build something you love? And maybe, you come and visit the Camp Rhino gyms in Las Vegas and you're like, holy cow, they do a great job. I want to take some of that and I want to start my own. And maybe you find some systems online, but really in a boutique gym setting, you just have to care about your customers. There's so many software programs that can run your entire business for you. You don't need someone taking a cut of that. You don't need someone taking a franchise or a license fee, in my opinion, unless they're marketing. But in most franchise models, your marketing is like, $2,500 to $3,000 a month goes towards marketing. But if you just get 5-star Google reviews and get a
Right.
virtual assistant to do some Google ads, you don't need to spend that much. And so what I'm trying to say is it's so much healthier for the owners to keep as much of that as they can or reinvest in their staff. And that's just my opinion now, subject to change
Do you
later.
think that part of your success, or I guess maybe even just from an environment standpoint, not the physical organic environment, but from the people around you, if your three gyms had been in Portland, Oregon, or Denver, Colorado, or Sacramento, California, do you think they would have gone well enough? Is there just like a sweet spot in Vegas of people interested in these things versus the number of gyms? Do you think you've been lucky, or could this have worked anywhere?
I have no idea. So we started before there was group fitness. And it sounds weird, but I have no idea what's happening outside of our little ecosystem. Like we were the first. We've always kind of been the first in the things that we've done. And we don't really look and see what other people are doing. We're just like, hey, I like this. I'm excited about this. I'm going to do it. Right. Because I always say I'm the number one customer at my gyms. And so whatever I need, that's what we end up putting inside the gyms, which is why we have an overwhelming amount of toys, as we call them, at our gyms. But I feel like it could have worked anywhere because when the pandemic hit, I told our team, I said, hey, as long as people need us and we care, we'll always be around. If people don't need us anymore, we won't be. Simple as that. And so that works in any city, in any town, just caring about people and having those relationships as opposed to making it a corporate scalable thing where the poor owner has to follow a list of SOPs that might not make sense in their particular town, right?
Right. So I'm interested if you remove, I guess, the CrossFit contingent within
Mhm.
your clientele and look at the boot camps and maybe the ninjas. There's been this huge growth in these things like Orange Theory and Soul Cycle and all that kind of stuff that is class based. Do you think people being accustomed to going to class based services has helped gyms like this, where they are coming there for specific programming that's not just a one on one trainer or an open gym?
Oh, yeah. Because back in the day, we had people trying to sign up their bad kids because it was called boot camp, but that was before there were boot camps. And so the amount of money that I used to spend on marketing, just explaining what we were and who we were and how you work out in a group. And it's really awesome because it reminds you of being on a team like you were in high school or college and you're on a team again and you have a coach. And now I don't have to explain any of it. We have personal training, we have nutrition, and you can work out in a group with a coach. And people are like, oh yeah, I've done Orange Theory. We've found that a lot of people bounce around, and that's fine by us. We always say that we're here, come in and out. We don't do contracts. We don't believe in locking people into long-term relationships. If if they want out, like we believe in just keeping people happy and then they keep coming. And that's not how most gyms work. And that's another reason why I like to just keep it little and boutique.
Well, you also don't want to be a fad. I mean, in 10 years, maybe Ninja isn't as cool. I doubt it. But the, I mean, the pandemic really contributed to the rise and fall of Soul Cycle.
Oh
And
yeah.
now a lot of those spaces are being filled by something else. In Denver, we've got a bunch of these stretch labs now, where it's not like a massage. You go and get stretched, and and a huge resurgence of Pilates stuff. And there's just they all fit into that same size of commercial real estate, right? So usually something else comes in, and you can fit a small Anytime or a Planet Fitness maybe in there. But it seems like there's this with maybe like core power yoga and Orange Theory aside, it seems like there has been a revolving door of some of those franchise ones. And something like this is obviously, hopefully, you want to have lifers. So,
Well, it's been 18 years, and
holy
a
crap.
lot of our people have been with us over a decade. So we do have lifers.
So, as far as the tribe and the brand, how did you come up with the Rhino bit?
Well, rhinos are indestructible forces of nature. I mean, I think they are. If one's charging at you, you're going to get out of the way. But they also have super thick skin and they love playing with other rhinos and they love food. But really, at the time, a lot of people were knocking off our brand, which was called Boot Camp Las Vegas. So the other side of the story is that Rhino had not been taken by any major sports team or movie or anything on Google. When you looked up Rhino, it was just a picture of a lonely rhino in the safari. And I said, Rhino is mine. And so we started Camp Rhino.
That's awesome. And so 18 years, when you're talking about the prospect of starting a gym with a unique format, and this is like CrossFit was a thing, but maybe the games weren't quite yet. Spartan races and Tough Mudders and stuff didn't exist. Ninja Warrior didn't exist. So in the early days, when you set out to do this, the boot camp model was really to emulate military training.
Yeah, so I actually didn't know CrossFit existed because it was super small. So this was 2004. And so at that time, there was your mom's aerobics class. There was Arnold bumping iron at the gym, like
Right.
they're just then there was like kung fu and kickboxing where you actually had to hit each other to get a workout. And so I was really overweight. I was 65 pounds overweight, and I had seen someone come back from the military all in shape and they had lost a lot of weight. And I'm like, oh, I need to go do boot camp so that I could lose some weight. And that's a terrible reason to join the military. I did not do that. But I just got it in my head that I wanted to have that experience. So within 5 days, I had a friend who was in the military, and I said, I want you to take us out to the park and just kill us, and I'll pay you for it. And I didn't know that you can't just take any person, from the military and have them just work you out. He was awesome, but I wanted like more. So the next day I put on a camel hat, camel clothes, a whistle. I was 65 pounds heavy, but I was good at advertising. So I would be able to get new people every day, and then they would never come back, which was fine. And I would do the workout with them. And I would just do things that I assumed the military would do, carry logs, relays. I would do some things from when I was in track and cross country, like the relays and things like that. And after I finally lost the weight, I still only had one customer the entire first year because people just didn't understand it. And my friends didn't understand it. People were like, you're going to take people out to the park, you're going to put them through a fake military thing, and they're going to pay you for it. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. And it wasn't what I had pictured. So I had to make this decision. I had my advertising business, I had my boot camp that was costing me money, and I was like, I have to really figure out if this thing is going to work. So we called up one of the local TV stations and told them that the other TV station had challenged them to an obstacle course like experience. And then we called the other station and told them that the other one had challenged them to an obstacle course, like kind of race competition. And one of the stations was like, yeah. And they came out and they did a 2-hour live shot from the park. I had to beg friends and family to come to make it look like it was actually a thing. Like I have my mom and I'm like, good job, Kathy, nice form. And it's like my mom, right? And we had 83 phone calls within 2 hours.
Wow.
So we knew. So I was like, okay, in a city of 2 million people, people do want this. I just have to find them. But then right when we started making it successful, that's when the economy crashed. We had the government, we were the front page of the newspaper. The government kicked us out of all the parks and started their own boot camps at the same time in locations. It's been a crazy mess, like 18 years of entrepreneurial, absolute ridiculousness. I have the most ridiculous stories. And we made it. We made it out. We made it through multiple recessions, pandemic. We made it. And now I'm excited to just be in the business world and not be an entrepreneur that has so I always have my heart tied up in anything that I do, but a gym is just so different. Like when someone cancels a membership, it kills you because they're your friend. You're friends with everyone at your gym. And I just want to be able to not have my own personal income tied with that. Like we do corporate team building, which brings in more income. And I went a little too far. That was not your question, but just vulnerably, I am just excited to solve business problems and just be in something more scalable and more global and not something that just tries to rip my heart out of my chest all the time.
Right. Well, it seems fascinating because in the social media era,
Yeah.
You have these people that will start out, I mean, in your industry, let's say somebody starts out as a personal trainer in person in a gym, one-on-one clients. And then maybe they want to start providing virtual training. And so they're doing that as a side hustle. And then they want to add nutrition. So they have some extra services and maybe they can jump from working at a physical gym to doing only online. And then they start making courses because they want to have some kind of automation or passive income. And
Yes.
then they teach other fitness people how to make courses and do what they do. And
Which is
then
when they actually start making money. Sorry.
before long, they're teaching people how to just make courses, and then they're teaching people how to run businesses. It's not even about training anymore. And
That's how you make money in this industry. And that's terrible. Or corporate team building and corporate wellness programs have done well for us. But yes.
so in those days, I was thinking of where I was in 2004. I was a junior in high school. But if you started all of this with a lot of ambition, you had the one gym, whichever one was first. When did you know that this was something you kind of wanted to do forever? I mean, that's a little contrary because you just said you want to switch into something a little bit different. But when did you know that the Camp Rhino was going to be a lifetime endeavor and that this was what you were meant to do? Because people oftentimes have a hard time finding their path.
So it's kept me happy. So it was what I wanted for my own personal health and fitness. And it's still, I go there every single day and I work out. So it's still a lifetime thing. When people say you need to build your business to sell it, I'm like, no way. Like maybe I would offer it up to our members to buy or something. But it's like, no, it's not that for me. Like I built Camp Rhino so I would have a place that I could go to and work out for the rest of my life. And that was from day one. I have been all in from day one, 18 years ago. I thought it was the best idea ever. And I knew that I could change it. It's changed so much in 18 years. And it changed as I changed. So we used to do crazy extreme fitness things like the 24-hour ruck marches where we would do 5 workouts in 24 hours and we'd carry a ruck and go 50 miles. And then as I aged, and I also like to say that as I got more emotionally stable and didn't need to torture myself physically to help myself with my emotional problems anymore, we started going more towards just general health and fitness. Like we just want people to feel good. We want it to be the best hour of their day. And we want, to provide nutrition and all of those things. And it's kind of like, as I've changed, the business has changed. And how fun is that? Like you just
Right.
have something that you continue to be the number one client of forever. And our tribe kind of changed with us. So
It's so funny when people like, sure, you've been through some serious tests with the crashes in 2008 and obviously the recession and everything we're dealing with now, pandemic.
and
But
2001, yeah.
when you right, when you have things that really mean so much to your life and something like fitness just really makes sense. Well, I owned a brewery in Seattle for several years and it was awesome. And my partner and I thought that one day we'd have our kids running around in there and then maybe they would run the business. But things change along the way. And we ended up getting involved in a huge lawsuit. And at one point, I wanted to move to another state, and it only really worked if it was based there. And now I don't even drink anymore. So it's weird to run a brewery when you don't consume your product. And so when you assume that you want to stay fit for the rest of your life, that's a really good investment to make. And I think a lot of people have things like art and music and things that they want to be a part of their life forever, at least as a hobby, but they don't know how to do that professionally. And coaching is a very big opportunity. We've made a huge investment recently in helping people launch online courses
Nice.
because e-education is going to be $1 trillion business in the next 5 years,
Yep.
all the way from people like you and I coaching in business up to people foregoing going to college. And so there's this huge opportunity for everyone out there. And one of the examples that I always use, which will fall right into the umbrella of your wheelhouse, is if I want to learn how to work out and lose weight and I'm a 0 on the scale and somebody like, I don't know, Jillian Michaels or something is 100, I don't want to learn from a 25 or a 30. They intimidate me, right? I want to learn from like a 5. I want to learn from someone who was in my shoes a year ago and learn, what did you do to lose a bunch of weight. Because if I want to lose 50 pounds and I've got this like super jacked trainer, I had that for a while, and I love you, Jason, but but it's a thing that a lot of people go through. So everybody out there that wants to find a way, if you are a trainer or a nutritionist or any kind of practitioner and you want to find a way to grow beyond your current time for money arrangement, there are a lot of ways to make books or courses or resources where there's always somebody that knows less than you. I guess that's the point. Or mentor college students or mentor high school students. Anyhow, Julie, why don't you tell us? We like to ask everyone at the end of our interviews kind of what is your secret sauce in life? Like, what do you wake up every day, and uniquely you personally, what makes you tick?
So I always say that choosing is not quitting, and we have seasons of purpose. And I am not afraid to go 100% towards something that I want, and then make sure that it's set up and hand it off to someone else, and then go 100% towards my next season of purpose. I am not afraid of people saying, like, I quit college, I quit a marriage, like I quit all kinds of things, and they served me very, very well to quit them. And it sounds kind of like weird, but that's my secret sauce is I'm not afraid of saying, oh, I already like the sunk cost. I already put this much into this, so I better stick with it. It's like I follow my heart every single day, but I'm also very responsible. So I make sure that, like with the gyms, they're being ran better without me. Let's be
Right.
real. They're being run better without me because I was always changing things. And now you have Ninja Warrior, you have CrossFit, you have boot camp, steady. People know what to expect. It's reliable. And Julie's off doing her next thing, and it's great.
Do you have any books or podcasts or anything that you're just obsessed with right now, or you recommend to people?
Oh, what is my flavor of the month right now? So I've been in Mind Valley. I've been a student in Mind Valley, and the Silva method rocked my world. So if you're not afraid to get a little woo-woo,
Right.
it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And then Jim Quick's brain, super brain.
Right.
I'm all about, like, right now I'm in this season of life where I'll keep my body healthy, but I'm more interested in my brain and strategy and things like that as opposed to what my body can do.
So I have one more question to kind of back up. I know I already started the stick the landing sequence, but Abby's not here, so I don't have to deal with that. Uh, if somebody is really interested in watching Ninja Warrior on TV and they
Uh-huh.
want to go to a ninja gym or they want to get involved in something like that, first of all, what does it take to compete in ninja? And secondly, if you are an amateur ninja, is it intimidating to approach a gym, or would you tell people that that is an alternative form of workout?
Oh, it's amazing. So I was just there a couple weeks ago doing the adult class. And so every ninja gym has a beginner version of their classes. And you would be so surprised, first of all, how hard it is to do what they do on TV. But second of all, you'd be so surprised how fast you progress. We had two women in their 50s who had never, one of them had never worked out in her life, never did anything athletic before. And she said she loves ninja because every day she improves. Like the improvement scale is so awesome. And then there's always something new to learn. There's all these tricks. So find your local ninja gym, or if you're in Vegas, everyone comes to Vegas, look up the Rhino Ninja Gym and come and visit us. Stop in for an adult class, drop your kids off at the kids class while you're in the casinos or wherever.
Right. And so then the other part of that is if I am any age and super fit and want to be on TV, what does it
Yeah.
take to compete in ninja? Are there like lower levels of the competition and local ones?
Yes. So I recommend the Ultimate Ninja Athletic Association. We host anyone can like compete in the first level. So we host those competitions at our gyms. They're hosted all around the world. There's also another Ninja Athletic Association as well. And then if you want to be on the actual show, you submit a video every single year hoping that you get in. So one of our coaches, he deserves to be on there, like just as much or more than anyone. And he's been just submitting year after year after year for almost a decade. And he finally got in this last year.
Is part of it about the emotional backstory and
Yes.
charisma and everything?
Not necessarily charisma, but definitely the backstory. Originally, they wanted to say, how does an accountant stack up against an engineer, stacks up against a line cook? Like they wanted people in different jobs being tested on this course. Like that's kind of, I think, the original idea of it. So now they try to get people with different stories and different backgrounds and different jobs.
But you guys have a lot of the championships and the televised ones in Vegas, right?
Yes, we do. So if you name a ninja, they've probably been at our gym because they come to it when the show's there. And then Ninja Warrior actually comes and shoots some of their B-roll at our gym too. So sometimes you'll see the Rhino, and that's us.
So cool. Okay, well, why don't you run down the social media accounts, the websites, how and where people can find you?
Well, that's easy. I'm Rhino Julie everywhere.
Oh, easy.
RhinoJulie.com. I'm Camp Rhino Julie on Instagram. But yeah, my Rhino Julie Show podcast. Yeah.
And for anyone in Las Vegas who would recognize the neighborhoods and everything, where are the gyms?
So we have Northwest, and then we have right by the airport in the Southeast, and then the Ninja Warrior gyms in the Southeast too.
Excellent. And your website is?
So I'm rhinojulie.com, and then my gyms are camprhino.com.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for being on the stream. We'll put all of this in the notes, and this goes out on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook. So everyone who's seeing this now on one of those or watching it in replay, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another really awesome disruptor. Julie, it's been real. Have a really great Friday.
Thank you, Andy. Rhino tough.
Love it.